My name is Caitlin Lynch, and I am the founder and artistic director of Project Chamber Music Willamette Valley. And I want to say a very, very heartfelt thank you to all of you, our community, for being here with us tonight to celebrate and to thank you, because without you and without your support, we wouldn't be here 10 years later.
When we first started talking about the program, she knew that she wanted to come back and give back, and so we had multiple conversations about what would be the best way. And she had in her mind, you know, we want to do something that monetarily can help, but even more so than that, we want contact with students. She was a student at South Salem High School when I was the band director there, and so I got to collaborate with her in the symphony orchestra. But watching her and her sister and her brother also went through the program, so she's definitely homegrown.
Yeah, where instead of thinking about each and every beat, we think about one measure being from the first note until down to the third measure. Does that make sense? One of the gifts that the school district gave me was the opportunity to be involved in an array of different musical experiences at a very high level, and all of that feeds back into what I'm doing today. I mean, I'm not singing in any jazz choirs today, but you better believe that what I learned about singing applies to the viola. What I learned about harmony from playing the piano applies to the viola. What I learned about rhythm from playing percussion applies to the viola. It all feeds in, and I feel like the part of something I'm most grateful for as a performer is having that diversity of background and diversity of experiences to feed into.
Here you are in between rehearsals, and your big concert is tomorrow night. Oh my gosh.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Wendy. It's such a thrill to be back here with you and in the studio.
And congratulations on the 10th anniversary. This is your 10th year in business as Project Chamber Music. I remember when.
Thank you. Yes,
way back when.
Been a trip. It's hard to believe it's been a decade. And really, 10 years ago, I started out with a dream, right? A dream to give back to the community that raised me, that inspired my love for music and of collaboration. And here we are 10 years later. It's so meaningful and thrilling to see that our work has contributed to, bringing worldwide musicians from all over the world to our local students and audiences in ways that's proving to be really meaningful and impactful beyond the concert hall even. That's
especially
really
for kids, because for example, the proceeds of the concert is all going toward kids and their musical development.
You got it. Every single penny of ticket sale proceeds from all of our concerts since day one has been donated to provide private lessons for local students for whom the cost would be otherwise prohibitive. And I'm really proud to say that last year, every student who came to us and wanted lessons got them.
Really?
And they not only got them, but they stuck with them all year.
Well, that's really something that those kids wouldn't be able to have in many cases if it weren't for you.
Private lessons made a huge difference in my life, and it's really beautiful to be able to make that possible for the students who want it.
What is Project Chamber Music? What's it designed to do?
Project Chamber Music, like I said, was born from my desire to give back. And that means a multitude of things. We kind of have three primary pillars. So the one is to make it possible for local students to have private lessons who would not otherwise be able to. We do that through putting on a concert each year. This year, in celebration of our 10th anniversary, I'm excited to say that we are now doubling our efforts. So instead of one residency per year, there will be two. We bring musicians from all over the world to put on concerts here at Willamette University. And basically the idea behind it is to bring music to the community, to bring concerts, to bring the community together, to share in something together. And we do so with the best of the best musicians from around the world. So that's pillar 2, is to bring these concerts into the community. And 3 is education. So we have educational projects that we do with students, from Portland down to Eugene, everywhere in between. And of course, the root of that is here in the Salem-Keizer Public School District.
And this is the best version of it. Sing it.
Okay. This is the best.
Yeah,
Very good part.
so beautiful.
Can you sing even through? So dots don't always mean short, they just mean separated. So the context of the dot is really important. I like the energy that it gives it, but maybe just like tone down in length and just slight.
Very. Can you play like at least that soft? Or when you have this many people, like one hair, it actually creates this incredible sound.
Well, I've been in the Salem-Keizer School District for 13 years. I started off as a general music and orchestra teacher, and I've been here at Parish Middle School, I'd say about 5 years. And so this is my first year being their music director, but I taught all of them from 4th grade up.
So the word goes out that the Aeolus Quartet is going to be here. What did you think? They're going to be with your kids. What did you think?
I was excited. I was very excited. And I told many of the kids, the history about where they came from. And I said, this is a grand opportunity. And so they were very excited, very excited. And so I'm very happy they came today.
What do you hope they get out of the experience of working with the Aeolus Quartet, even for just this short clinic?
Well, I'm hoping that the students will be more inspired to practice, and then for those who, whether or not they decide to major in music or not, how important music is and the different types of music that they can learn.
When they were teaching, they were talking about the way you hold the bow and everything. What were they doing?
So what they were focusing on is just the basic posture, setup of their instrument, the importance of keeping the pinky curved as opposed to straight so that they can get the flexibility that's needed when they're playing. To see people who are performing so well, to come and say this needs to happen and that needs to happen, fix the pinky, make the fingers curved, make sure that you're tracking closer to the bridge to get a good sound. It really helps to be able to have them say that.
What do you think of the chamber music project, Willamette Valley?
It's a wonderful project, and when I first heard that Parish was going to get the opportunity for them to come, I myself was personally excited because they can see the higher level musicians. They see people who not only went through our program here in the Salem-Keizer School District, but they came back to try to give their gift to the next generation so that they themselves can be inspired to move forward and give that gift forward as well. And so to see the high level, and then to see them working with the kids so that they know they too can reach that level too if they put in a little bit more hours. And as they said, maybe at their age they weren't practicing the same amount, but with dedication, they themselves can also do the same thing.
I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at today. It takes a lot of luck, a lot of good fortune, a lot of hard work, and I wouldn't be here without this community. I started when I was very young. I had an older sister who started to play, and of course, as many younger sisters do, I wanted to do everything that my older sister did, right? So she started violin lessons. I'd go to all of her lessons and watch and ask if I could play. The teacher wouldn't let me because I was so young that I was still sucking my thumb. And she said that I couldn't start lessons until I was mature enough to stop sucking my thumb. So So finally, when I was 4, she let me start. I started on the violin and went up through the school. You know, I played at McKinley Elementary. I played in the program at Leslie Middle School. I played in the program at South Salem High School. I switched to the viola in middle school, actually. A youth orchestra was playing Brandenburg 3, which requires 3 violas, and we only had 1. My conductor was a violist, and he said, "Would you mind trying the viola for this piece?" I was like, "Sure, I'll try anything." So I played Brandenburg 3 on viola, and the sound of the viola just stole my heart. That deep, rich, chocolatey, velvety sound that you get from the lower register of the viola as opposed to the violin. I fell in love. And I think for about a year I played both before, you know, just realizing that that was my true calling.
Her mom and she came up from Salem, and we did one of those introductory lessons like you do where they're trying you out and you're trying them out. And I knew, you know, very quickly that this was a really special, not only special person, but a special player as well. I just love the viola and the sound that it has. And she seemed to be very well suited to it and very interested in figuring out how it worked and how it was different. The biggest difference is the range. So a violin's lowest string is a G, and then D, A, and then E. But instead of that, the viola has A, D, G, and then the real reason all violists play the viola, the C string. I think it's one of the most beautiful and emotional of the string instruments. A lot of composers wrote music for the viola or that featured the viola late in their life, and there's this element of sort of sadness and nostalgia and just being at the end of a long and fruitful life that the viola is able to evoke. And so that's why I, as a young person, and now as not so young person, love it so much.
I feel like a lot of the people I've met, you know, in music conservatories along the way and professional musicians were very focused on their one instrument from a very young age with very much, you know, a clear path towards what they wanted to do professionally. And that was very much not my experience. I participated, you know, I sang in the choir, I sang in the jazz choir, I played percussion in the band, I played piano, you know, the violin thing and then the viola thing. I played soccer, I was in youth orchestra. You know, this area is so unique for all of its offerings and the incredible educators that are making students want to do all of these things and fall in love with all of these things. And I really viewed that part of my upbringing as such an asset to what I do today as a violist, because I think it's all connected, right? I wasn't practicing viola maybe for as many hours a day as many of my colleagues were from a very young age. But I think, you know, the rhythmic training from being a percussionist in the band, the infusion of different styles from singing in jazz choir, the vocal training from choir. I mean, we think about how you would use your breath and singing expressively when we play viola every day, right? It's all connected. And so I think that what the district here gave me, what the community here gave me, was this gift of so many different places of inspiration and inflection points, right? Where, today, if I'm thinking about like, what character do I want to bring to this particular moment in the music? There's such an array of real life experiences to draw from, right? There's so many dimensions that this community provided me with. Also very fun, it's my great privilege to welcome Dina Grossman, our composer of Songs of the River Poe today. Such an honor to have her here with us.
What are you going to be performing at your concert with Salem Kaiser students?
So tomorrow we will be playing Dina Grossman's Song of the River Poe. And Dina is a Portland-based composer, and she wrote this piece inspired by the landscapes of Italy. So Songs of the River Poe, it has 3 movements, all kind of depicting different scenes in Italy. And the side-by-side orchestra is comprised of students from the Salem Kaiser Public Schools. Each high school is going to be represented on stage, as well as students from Willamette University. So it truly is a citywide celebration, really, of music here and of community.
To me, as a composer, it's a fantastic opportunity to hear this piece again and to be able to work with the musicians. And as a composer, that's my goal in life. I want to hear my music, I want audiences to hear it, and to have this piece, Songs of the River Poe, which I wrote in 2019, I've only heard it performed live in its entirety once. So this is the second opportunity for me to hear the music and also be able to work with these musicians. And it's thrilling, absolutely thrilling.
Romantic stuff. So don't be afraid, just really let yourself go with it. Just shake the hands of the first violin and pass it back and forth, kind of like a folk dance.
Dina, can you sing the ripple thing? Because that
Yeah.
you know what to do.
In this part, it's again kind of like in the first movement where you have a pattern that's being handed off from one instrument or set of instruments to another. Da 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 da. It's passing that pattern, and it's definitely the ripples on the top of the water, like little sparkly ripples. Yeah.
Nice. And can I suggest also that we go a little bit with the contour, that sometimes it's yada da da da, and sometimes it's yada da da da. You know, that it's not always just.
I wonder if in this section when we're in canon, everybody can pick someone from another section to always be responding to. So never going on autopilot with our own parts, but letting it be a dialogue of song, right? So if she says, ya-da-da, ya-da-da, I'm not just doing my own thing here. I'm responding to what she said. Ya-da-da, ya-da-da.
It's a very interesting approach that a Far Cry ensemble has because there's no conductor. So they're really working as a cooperative, and I like the way they're bringing the student instrumentalists into that communication, into that conversation. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's the best thing for a composer in the whole world. Thank you so much.
They're getting much more than just getting the notes right so that come performance time it'll look, sound the way you want it to be. There's much more to it than that. You're counting on their ability to innovate.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Absolutely. And you know, music is better when we're all participating as equals. And the group that's here this time actually is called A Far Cry. And the whole premise of that group is that every voice deserves to be heard, right? So it's a democratically run group. We all rotate positions of leadership in our music making, in our administrative roles. And the idea behind that is that everybody has different ideas, right? And we're all the better for the sharing of those ideas. Everyone's going to bring their unique self to the process, and that's going to add something to the result, right? The other thing I think that's really important about this process is that, you know, as you said, there's the nitty-gritty, there's the precision of ensemble, there's the intonation, there's the quality of sound, but there's also, you know, at its root, I think making music and playing chamber music has a much deeper importance, which is that as we're working together, chamber music demands deep listening, clear communication, a whole lot of empathy, and the ability, when you have differing opinions about how something should go, to work through that with openness and trust and to find a way forward that everybody feels empowered by and that they can believe in by the time you get to the performance stage. And those aren't just fundamental building blocks of chamber music. Those are fundamental building blocks of life, of being human and existing in this world, right? So you're not only trying to grow together as musicians and artists, you're trying to grow together as people, as humans.
It's obvious that what happens is that they make music magical in real time, to going from here to there, and that must be a feeling that lasts a lifetime for these young musicians, no matter what they do.
Yeah, it definitely does. I remember the first time that I heard a viola soloist was when I was maybe in 9th grade, and the local youth orchestra in Tacoma came to my high school, and the violist who taught up at the University of Washington was playing a concerto with them. And this was way before I even ever entertained the thought of playing the viola. I was very firmly a violinist at this point. But I heard that and I thought, wow, I didn't know if the viola could sound like that. And somewhere that stuck in my brain. And, you know, years later, all of a sudden, that came back up to me. And So, somebody came into the community and did something amazing, and that potentially led to me becoming the professional that I am now.
And they're treating each other as equals. What is that? You're a veteran. You know the inside of what a rehearsal is like. What do you think they're doing with those students that's so important?
I think the fact that you mentioned that they're being treated as equals is incredible, because once you're sort of empowered in that way, it makes you, as a student, as a young person, so much more able to visualize that you might have a future in this, or that you've got agency just by doing this music with your instrument, that you can create something on your own, whether you decide to go on in life to become a professional or you do something else, but you retain that that wonderful passion for the music and making music, that you never know where that will go. Some of our great board members of the symphony and benefactors had that when they were young. And even though they went on to do other and be very successful in other things other than music, they are coming back to the arts and giving their time and money because they were affected by something like what Caitlin and her project are doing when they were young.
I would really like your perspective on the evolution of classical music. As you say, you're playing new and different things, and yet it's still classical.
Yes.
In what direction and new ways do you think classical music itself is evolving?
Oh, it has evolved so much, and right now I think it's really in a thrilling place. I think it's more diverse than ever before. In the beginning, it was very much about like, this person was a composer for the courts, and what did this person of royalty want them to write, and what was their purpose for writing, right? Entertainment. And now I feel like people are writing music that is really true to themselves and who they are. They're writing incredibly exploratory music, bending the genre in ways of like exploration, just even physically. Like, what kind of sounds can we make on our instruments? What happens if you, tap it with your knuckles? Or what happens if you put the bow behind the bridge, right, instead of on it or in front of it? And there is an infusion of different styles that is really exciting. You're hearing more influences of everything from hip hop and fiddle music and rock influences. I mean, jazz. It's kind of like what used to be classical music is now just like this beautiful infusion of everything. Anything's fair game. And you have people like Caroline Shaw, Paul Wianco, who are. I don't know how you would describe their music in a classical term. It's classical music, but it's so much more than that. And it's theirs. They have such unique voices. And in fact, it's funny, one of the things that I think it was NPR said about Paul Wianco's music is that if Haydn were alive today, this is the kind of music that he would be writing.
You write about classical music. You're part of the Oregon arts scene that lets people know what's going on. What can we expect next?
That's a good question. I think one of the things that's starting to happen more and more, and now the conservatories and music schools are starting to actually address this more directly, is that classical musicians now are learning how to create content on their own, either through YouTube or having a podcast or whatever. They're finding ways to get themselves out there and keep furthering their art and being exponents of what they do. And they're not waiting for a platform to do it. They're making their own way now. And I think the fact that succeeding generations that are growing up now with all of the stuff that was just barely starting to happen when I was in college, they're growing up with. And they've got lots of exciting chances to kind of let their voice be heard and kind of go on their own individual path in music instead of going, well, you've got to either play in an orchestra or a string quartet, or maybe if you're really lucky you have a solo career. They can do something that's a little bit of everything, and a lot of it they're creating on their own. My advice for somebody who is looking to get into classical music is just do it. Go for it. It's fun. You won't regret it.
Thank you.